Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's VLD, and I've finally done it. Build a VESA mount for my iPad Mini 6. Let's go. Hey, how's it going there, dear YouTube? It's VLD, and the iPad Mini 6 has magnets in the back. A lot of people don't really appreciate that or take advantage of that. But there's actual companies out there now. I think Luludeck is one of them. Sorry if I butcher the name, but they've actually built VESA mounts compatible with the Mini 6. So today I'm going to show you how to cobble together your own Frankenstein. Personally, I'm using this one just because of the anchor in the back, how it's set up, of kind of like the seat design. I like the plate itself, but I prefer the stand of the other one. But for the design purposes of this is more ideal because I'm going to cut that off, drill it. I want to use the other one, but just how it's set up and designed, it doesn't really go together with my flow. So I'm using this one. It's going to be more of a pain, more of a hassle, but personally, this will work a lot better than my other one. This one's easier to take apart compared to the one on the left. This one's perfect because you can use a hex wrench to take it apart. This is my old stand. It was Smarty. I've used it for about 6 months or so. It was really good. It's done really, really well. But I just don't like the arms, how it's holding in place. Like these now are all magnetic. So these are a killer feature I've been looking for since the Mini 6 came out. Because in my old video for the Pro, I built my own VESA mount, and I want to do the same thing with my Mini 6. With my Pro, you can tilt it any which way, but with the Mini 6, there will be limitations to it, unfortunately. This is my first attempt with my original idea of the first VESA mount I bought, and then the first magnetic dock also. I tried using a different style of arm. It wasn't really quite compatible with each other, and it would have cost and been more of an issue trying to put it together compared to like my first style I've done in my first video. So, but it's far, far easier to take apart and a lot simpler to actually build. I just don't have the tools needed for this style yet. Maybe in a future video I might attempt it, but for just trying to get one out there right now, this really wasn't the best idea, so I improvise. I ordered more stuff off Amazon, like always, and therefore I bought a arm just like my first one, just because going off that premise, it works a lot easier. Because it's the same arm as my first one, I know exactly what to do and how to build it. So this one's a little bit different. I take off the front mounting piece. That's where you're able to adjust it up and down. So it will be a little bit more limited. So the first dock, how it has a single piece and not kind of like the C shape, like this one right here, that's a limiting factor you have to take into account. Because that right there means it's a go and it will work perfectly. Because also, just like the dimensions of it, it fits almost perfectly, so it was almost like made for this. So I have to take that piece off. I gotta tear that off, drill that, unfortunately, so that's gonna be a pain. I cut off the back plate of it so far, the stand part, so that's gone. This is, of course, over a couple hours, so I've been drilling, I've been trying to wedge it apart. You can see the tools on the ground. I'm not an engineer, I only have basic tools to work with, and with that, this is what it looks like with it actually off. Those metal pieces that hold it together are a pain. They're almost about as thick as diamond, so I have to do some heavy drilling to get it through. I use a 5/16 drill, and that works perfectly. Maybe go a little bit bigger, but this is how it looks now. It's a little bit wear for tear, just because I'm not really meant for this. But with this setup now, it will be perfect. And just to showcase my original one, how it can move any which way, 360 up and down. Sadly, my Mini 6 is limited to only rotating 360. Just for the limitations about the size and the stand, it can pivot and rotate. The arm can go any way like the other one can. Up and down, it can do that quite well, but it can only rotate 360. Just because I had to take some of the actual moving pieces off it to keep it a little bit more secure. But with that, it works just like the other one. It's held up via magnets. There's no other actually moving pieces to it. And I really like that. The magnets are built into the back of the rubber stand. It has a cutoff for your camera, so it's easier to pull off. But with this design, I had to basically just cut it out and then attach it via a screw. I use a 10 to 24 millimeter, 2.5 inch screws I just got from Lowe's or my hardware store. Put in a couple washers. Just like my first one, it has an actual moving mechanism to it, so it can pivot up and down and around the iPad itself. This one can't, so it's more stationary. It can rotate. And then with my keyboard, I have it hooked up to my Mac Mini underneath, just like that, so it's hidden and taken away. Sorry about all the wires. That's just kind of how it goes. I can switch between 3 different devices at the same time. So I just switched it to my M1 Pro. And then with that, I can switch that to my Mini also. So I only need one keyboard for all 3 of my devices. So in my older videos, I have multiple keyboards. When everything is stationary, I can connect one device to all 3 of my Apple MacBooks or iPads. So therefore, it's a lot cleaner and simpler. So if I want to swap over from one device to the other, I just switch it over, and even with my mouse, I switched it to 2, which is my M1 Pro. So therefore, I only need one mouse for everything also. And then with the flick of a switch, I can do it again to my Mini 6 on top of that. So I have one mouse, one keyboard for all 3 of my devices. So if it stays stationary, I am good to go. And just with the flick of another switch, I am right back to my Mac working on this video right now. So 4 screens, 4 different devices. So when handoff comes out, this will work perfectly with both these devices. And this is my old display from 6 months ago when I first got my Mini 6. The layout wasn't as nice as what it is now, in my opinion. So it looks a lot more elegant, a lot more cleaner, and I have one device to control everything. So I'm a huge fan of my new layout. Smash that bell, subscribe, and stay tuned for future content, because I'm always looking to put out better content in the future. And if you're subscribed, you'll be notified whenever I get more better, awesome, fantastic gear. So smash that bell, subscribe.